In this video, I show you how I turn this into this. Hi guys, it's Rob from Rob Digs Gaming. This is a piece of styrofoam that was a part of the packaging for a trash can that I just bought for my kitchen. And as soon as I took it out of the box, I immediately thought to myself that this would make for a great piece of gaming terrain. To me, it looked just like a closed-in fighting arena. It has these little supports that are going to be great little columns that miniatures can hide behind. And so I thought I'd paint it up and make a video and show you the process. The first thing I did was take a sanding block and give it a quick once over, because it had a bunch of these little circular dimples, I guess. Not really dimples, but little bumps that were part of the mold for the piece. So I quickly sanded it over and then took the brush attachment on my vacuum and sucked up all the little bits. Because it is this expanded polystyrene, it's quite staticky and things cling to it. So to get rid of all that dust and what have you, I just quickly use the vacuum. And it measures about, from the inside wall, 12 inches in this direction and 13, just about 13 in the other. And since our gaming group still uses a gridded game, I'm going to be placing a grid to represent a stone floor on the piece. And to get the maximum value out of the surface area, I'm going to take a box cutter and straighten out the corners. Okay, so as I said, it's kind of messy. The very first corner I dug out, it's a bit of a dog's breakfast, but once I got the hang of things, the other corners turned out okay. They're all squared off now. That one looks pretty good. Let's see if I can get that in the light there. And of course the walls are different thickness. This is a nice thick and sturdy wall that's almost an inch thick. This one's a little bit less than half an inch, so it's a little bit thinner. The foam overall is kind of sturdy. It's not the really soft kind of bubbly styrofoam. So I'm going to clean this up and next lay out a grid for the floor. So to make the grid on the piece, I just take my Sharpie and my ruler and lay out a grid. This particular ruler doesn't have the zero right at the end of the ruler, so to make an inch from the end, I just took my Sharpie and measured off a graduated inches along, so I can actually lay it flat up against the side of the wall and then have it come out an inch. Alright, so now I've got the grid drawn on. The piece of styrofoam had these four little dented square areas that are sort of pressed into the piece as well. I just shaded those in to show you. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with those yet. I don't know if I'm just going to cut them out or leave them be. The large one here might make a trapdoor or something. I'm not 100% sure. The others, they're not centered or perfectly in line with the grid, so I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do with those. I might just wind up painting them and having them be imperfections in the floor or what have you. But next, in order to get the floor, I'm going to go back to the box cutter and cut grooves along the grid line to represent tiles in the floor. Okay, so here's how the floor turned out. It's pretty rough in places. The angle of the knife towards the edges of the walls would catch and tear away at the little granules of the styrofoam, but the idea is that it's a fighting arena that's been used and seen lots of battles over the years, so a little bit of roughness is okay in the stone, and in fact you could even take your your box cutter, and you can intentionally stress the stone in areas. Just randomly pick out a couple of corners that'll look like the rock is crumbled away, and that will just even add to the effect. So for the walls, what I want to try and do, following a couple of techniques that I've seen in a few videos online, is to try and draw on a stone wall or a brick wall. And so to do that, I'm going to take this drafting pencil. It's got a fairly blunt tip to it, and I'm going to just scratch in stones and bricks, and then once the piece is dry painted, those stones will hopefully show up in relief. So what I thought I would do is a combination of brick and stone, where I'm going to use the thickness of a popsicle stick to represent a tier of dry stone, and perhaps 2 of those along the wall, and then to freehand stone along the top. I've not done that before, so I'm just going to give it a try, and hopefully it works out. And for a door, for stability's sake, I'm going to use the thickest, most sturdy end of the piece to cut a central door, and it's going to be a 2-inch wide door in the center, and it'll represent a 10-foot wide entranceway. I thought maybe that I would do 2 separate doors, but I didn't want to make it too flimsy. But I think it's reasonable to have the combatants come in through the same door, provided they're not coming out at the same time. So I have the 2 lines drawn now, and I'm going to be treating the stones around the entranceway a little bit differently. It's tough to see from that angle, but there's going to be stones basically bordering the doorway, so I didn't draw my lines across there. So now I'm just basically going to be taking the pencil and drawing in bricks or mason stones at approximate widths around the perimeter of the arena. They're going to be slightly different sizes, but it's going to basically represent mason blocks that have been put in, and each row is basically going to be offset, one on top of the other. I'm going to be aiming for the center of the brick below it, just to make it look like a masoned block of stone. That will form the wall around the bottom of the arena. So there's the first two tiers of the mason stone along the interior of the wall. And just like with the floor, you can take the box cutter and distress some of the brick, or some of the stones, just by popping out corners here and there, and that will hopefully show up with the painting. And you can also take a broken popsicle stick and use it to distress the stones even more. You can take them and have them pushed in on the corners to make them look like they're a little more rough cut stones. So I'm just going to go over some of these bricks like that, and then take the drafting pencil and freehand in some stones to make up the rest of the wall.